Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Week 12 edition of my top waiver wire targets and streamable defenses. You guys should know the drill by now. I'm going to go through my top waiver wire ads at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and flex. I'm going to give you guys my top streamable defenses. And as always, guys, in case we do have any first-time listeners, I am going to remind you the players and the defenses I am going to speak about had to have at least 50% roster availability, so there's a good chance that you guys can go pluck them off the waiver wire when you put your bids in tonight or tomorrow morning, whenever your bids do process. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I got a couple repeat names in my waiver wire section. Starting at the quarterback position's a repeat name. He was my top start last week too. He came through to that TikTok user that tried to call me out for saying start Jordan Love. I think he's worthy of an ad this week if you need help at quarterback. He's available still in 54% of the leagues. This past weekend, he was probably his best game of the season. Threw for 322 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if you want to have a player to play this Thanksgiving, or maybe in your daily lineups, I know this isn't my start sit video, you can maybe consider put him in a Thanksgiving daily lineup too. Going against the Detroit Lions, the Lions have allowed 18 points per game to quarterbacks this year. That's the 8th most in the NFL. So Love has really came along over these last 3 weeks. It seems like these young rookies, or not rookies, but first and second year players in that offense are starting to kind of gel. And if they can continue to take that next step in their development, maybe Jordan Love becomes a viable weekly option for you heading into the fantasy playoffs. My top running back out of the week, I am going to go with Zach Charbonnet. He's available in 55% of the leagues. I'm pretty happy. I have him in a couple leagues. I've been stashing him on my bench. This past weekend, obviously, if you guys have not heard, Kenneth Walker got hurt in that game. I know I saw Pete Carroll said yesterday they're trying to determine how long he will be out, but with the Seahawks playing on Thursday night, it's pretty much a guarantee Walker's going to be out this week. This past weekend, though, with Charbonnet kind of taking over that full role, he had 15 rushes for 47 yards. He had 6 receptions for 22 yards on 6 targets, so that's 21 times they tried to get the ball in his hands. Now, I will say this, I don't necessarily love Charbonnet's matchup this week. Going against the 49ers on Thanksgiving night, the Niners are only giving up 12.9 points per game to running backs this year. That's the 6th fewest, so he's definitely worthy of an ad, because if Walker's out for a significant period of time, you got a really good RB2 play going forward. But if you have better options than Charbonnet, I think I would leave him on my bench this week. I know I plan on leaving him on the bench. I do that in the leagues the 2 leagues I do already have him on. But yeah, he's definitely worthy of an ad. I mean, not worthy. He should be added, especially if you need running back help going forward. This wide receiver ad of the week, it's a repeat from last week. I can understand why people might have been hesitant to pick him up after the Deshaun Watson news came out. But Elijah Moore, he's still available in 58% of the leagues. This past weekend, he had 6 receptions for 60 yards on 7 targets. He has now received at least 7 targets in 7 of the 10 games he's played in this season. Now, doesn't have necessarily the best matchup this weekend. Going against the Broncos defense, they're only giving up 19.3 points per game to wide receivers. That's the 10th fewest. But the reason why I think he's worthy of an ad is, A, he's gotten those 7 targets. So he's gotten a volume of the ball throwing to him, right? We know that he's going to at least get those targets most weeks than not. And you got 1 more week of buys next week, so check out your buys, right? If you have a wide receiver on a buy next week, he might not be a bad person to slide into that bye week. And then you just got to prepare for any potential injuries as we approach the playoffs. So the one way you can combat injuries is at least getting a guy on your bench that's at least seeing a flow of targets at this point of the season. My tight end ad of the week, I'm going to go with the tight end here in Tampa. I say here in Tampa Bay because if anybody doesn't know, that's where I live. But Cade Otton for the Bucks. He's available in 80% of the leagues. This past weekend, he had 4 receptions for 49 yards on 5 targets. And then over his last 5 games, he's received at least 5 targets in 4 of those games. Now, he's got a good matchup, too, if you're looking to stream a tight end this week. Going against the Colts have, they're tied for the 5th most allowed points per game to tight ends this year. So, yeah, if you're looking to stream a tight end, if that's what you've been doing this season, Kate Otten's not a bad name to consider to have in your lineups this Sunday. My flex ad of the week, I'm going to go with that young running back there in Minnesota. It looks like he's got a little bit more juice than Alexander Madison. I think I didn't read the whole quote, but I kind of just breezed over it. But there's a quote about how the I believe is the offensive coordinator for the Vikings talked about how they probably will be getting Chandler more involved in this offense. This past weekend, he had 10 rushes for 73 yards, and he had 4 receptions for 37 yards on 4 targets. So he's getting to that 15 plus touch range, which you love out of fantasy running backs. And I think he's a sneaky flex play this week. Going against the Bears on Monday Night Football, the Bears are giving up 18.4 points per game. That is the 8th most allowed. So if you're looking for some help at running back, that's a guy. Him and Charbonnet should definitely be on your radar when you submit your waiver wire bids. Moving into the streamable defenses, and as a reminder, like I said earlier, these defenses have to have at least 50% roster availability, so there's a good chance that you go pick them up and stream them this week. My number one streaming defense, I am going to go with the Denver Broncos against the Browns. This is a home game, so I do factor that in for Denver's defense. The Broncos are available in 67% of the leagues, and then mainly because they're playing, DTR, he is Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's a rookie quarterback. It's not like he lit the world on fire playing against the Steelers this past weekend. And then when we look at some couple interesting data points, the Browns are actually tied for the second most giveaways this season. And the Broncos are tied for the second most takeaways. So why I love them for a streaming defense, it's a rookie quarterback making his, third start on the road in that Denver environment, and it's already an offense. It's already a team that's giving the way this tied for the second most giveaways, going against a defense that has a knack for getting their hands on the ball this season. My number 2 streaming defense, I'm going with a matchup between two bad teams. The Patriots against the Giants. The Patriots are available in 74% of the leagues. And there's a couple reasons, right? I've said this before earlier this season. I forget who I told to stream the Patriots against, but Bill Belichick has like a ridiculous record against rookie quarterback or first and second year quarterbacks. Obviously, you got the undrafted quarterback Howard. Why am I forgetting the Italian kid's name? Tommy DeVito. You got DeVito making his third career start against a Bill Belichick defense. So I am betting that Bill Belichick's going to confuse the heck out of this kid. Now we look at some data points why I do like them. The Giants have given up the most sacks this season, so I expect the Patriots to come up with exotic ways to get pressure on this kid to force him into mistakes. And then the Giants offense, they're only average. I know they just kind of blew up against that terrible Commanders defense, but again, the Commanders end up being a good streaming defense, even though they gave up all those points because they got 7 or 8 sacks in that game. But overall in the season, though, the Giants are only scoring 13.5 points per game. That's the fewest in the NFL. So less than 2 touchdowns. So I think the fact that they have most of the time outside of playing the terrible Commanders defense have struggled to put points on the board. So that gives you a high floor with the Patriots defense this week. My number 3 streaming defense, I am going to go with the Titans against the Panthers. The Titans are available in 95% of the leagues. This is mainly because the Panthers offense has just been downright terrible for a majority of the season. The Panthers, they've given up the 4th most sacks allowed, so I do like the idea of Jeffrey Simmons, Nico Autry, and Harold Landry getting after Bryce Young in this game. And then the Panthers have struggled to score points as well. They're only averaging 16.3 points per game. That is the 4th fewest in the NFL. So the fact that they're a bottom 5 scoring offense and they're giving up a lot of sacks, I think that gives you a high floor if you'd want to stream the Titans this week. My number 4 streaming defense, I am going to go with the Vikings against the Bears. The Vikings are available in 71% of the leagues. This is a home game. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter who the coach is for Minnesota. They just traditionally play really good defense up there in Minneapolis. And then the Bears, they are tied for the 3rd most giveaways. So I'm factoring in that the home crowd is going to be a big factor in this Monday night matchup between the Vikings and the Bears. And then, as we've seen before, Justin Fields and the entire offense has been prone to giving the ball away this season. So I'm betting on the Vikings finding a way to get 2 turnovers in this matchup. My number 5 streaming defense, this is probably a 12, 14 plus team league streaming defense. If you strike out on them, I can understand the concern over playing the Giants defense, but they did just, come off a good performance against the Commanders on Sunday. But the Giants against the Patriots, the Giants are available in 97% of the leagues. Sneakily, I did not know this until I did my research earlier. The Giants are actually tied for the fourth most takeaways this season. So they're actually getting their hands on the ball more than most teams in the NFL. And then they're going against a Patriots offense that's been a complete disaster. Also, let me just say that too. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be yet. It's either going to be Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. I've heard some people throw out we might see Will Grier. So we'll probably find that out by tomorrow and Bill Belichick's press conference, I'm sure. And then going into the scoring, right, that's been an offense that's been struggling. New England's only scoring 14.1 points per game this season. That is the second fewest in the NFL. So, again, bottom 5 offensive scoring, and then you got a defense that's been tied for the fourth most takeaways. I like the high floor, and then I like the chance that they're going to be able to force a turnover off Mac Jones or whoever is playing quarterback for the Patriots this weekend. So yeah, that is my top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses for week 12. If there's any guys or any players or defenses on the waivers you're considering playing or picking up and you want to get my opinion, as always, get into a DM, get into a comment, and I always try to get back to you as soon as I can. And then as always, guys, you guys will be getting my top starts and sits tomorrow. You might get that start sit video a little earlier than normal because my day job, it sounds like I should be getting off early tomorrow for Thanksgiving weekend. So you should maybe get that earlier than normally. Normally comes out, I think, around like 8, 9 o'clock Eastern time. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to get it to you guys at some point tomorrow afternoon. So make sure you do subscribe and follow me so you can get that video as soon as it comes out. Other than that, I'm going to hop off here. Hope you guys enjoy your night or day or whenever you're watching this. Peace out.